A mom whose husband was brutally murdered days before Christmas revealed she lied to her daughter by pretending he was still alive. David Irwin had almost every bone in his face broken when he was subjected to a vicious attack following a dinner in Hale Village in 2002. The 30-year-old was killed by Stuart Pickett, then aged 22, on December 23. Speaking 15 years on, his wife Helen Hill has revealed she had to pretend to her daughter that her dad was still alive and was just hospitalized following a bang on the head to get through the first Christmas without him. Mr. Irwin's injuries were so severe that, when Helen arrived at hospital, his head had swollen to the size of a football and the mum of one had difficulty recognizing him. After he suffered 2 heart attacks and hypoxic brain damage, she had to make the devastating decision to switch off the machine keeping him alive. Helen, 44, said having to lie to then 5-year-old Molly was absolutely horrific, Liverpool Echo reports. She said, "On the first Christmas day after David was murdered I had to pretend to Molly that he was alive when actually he was dead. It was absolutely horrific. I told her he had banged his head and was ill in hospital. She was only 5 years old at the time and I didn't want to do it before Christmas Day." Helen said she told Molly what had happened on Boxing Day, 2002, just 3 days after Killer Pickett launched the vicious attack on her dad. The year after she says she broke down crying putting the star on top of the tree because it is something David always did. For the first time in 15 years Helen marked the occasion yesterday with a memorial service in Hale Village Hall attended by his family and closest friends. She said, "It was the first time we have done it and I wanted to do something away from the murder to remember who David was as a person and it was a way to bring David's family together. Christmas is a really hard time but I have always kept what happened and Christmas as a separate time for family." For the first time in 15 years Helen marked the occasion yesterday with a memorial service in Hale Village Hall attended by his family and closest friends. She said, "It was the first time we have done it and I wanted to do something away from the murder to remember who David was as a person and it was a way to bring David's family together. Christmas is a really hard time but I have always kept what happened and Christmas as a separate time for family." The devastated mum then suffered a fresh setback in May this year after learning former paratrooper Pickett will no longer be supervised on the streets of Merseyside because of his good behavior. Helen has since launched a petition online asking should released killers remain supervised? As she continues her efforts to raise awareness of how the judicial process affects the families of victims. She said, "We are scared of running into him, it is frightening and worrying. He lives not far away from me. The aftermath when someone is murdered just never stops. This petition is important because I believe if you take someone's life then you should at least be monitored. Nobody knows what he is doing or how he is keeping now." Helen has also become a campaigner and is a trustee and vice chair of SAM, Support After Murder and Manslaughter, Merseyside, which campaigns for, and supports, victims' families.